Eileen was born and raised on a traveller halting site and now lives in rural Ireland with her husband Liam and beautiful daughter Billy. Eileen has a degree in community work and youth work from Youth University. Eileen has a strong and long track record in supporting grassroots activism and working for social inclusion and positive innovation policies that promote human rights and equality through her work with Ballyfermot Travellers Action Group, the National Traveller Women's Forum, the Irish Network Against Racism and the Irish Traveller Movement. Eileen feels that it's a huge honour and privilege to be the first traveller to serve as a public representative of Seanad. She doesn't take this journey lightly and deeply appreciates the enormity of what this historic moment means, and so do we all. Eileen is passionate and deeply committed to community development and intends to use her platform as Senator to promote community work at every opportunity, which is great to hear. So Eileen, we'll hand over to you.
Thanks very, very much, and thanks to the organisers for inviting me here today. And as Ona just said, it's lovely to see some very familiar faces, but also some new faces as well. And for me, I personally believe it's around bringing communities with you. It's when we're talking about racism and discrimination, it's around empowering communities at the very end of Irish society to be able to speak up, to be able to challenge racism, to be able to challenge hatred, and to be able to challenge discrimination. And when we talk about like challenging, I don't mean to be fighting, or you know, like a lot of people would always say, oh, Eileen, you use the term fight an awful lot, but it's not saying like as in fighting as in physically fighting, but it's around challenging the system, it's around bending the rules, you know, and to get from the, as Ona have often said in any lecture hall I've been in with her, going from the real to the ideal, you know. And for me, I like, for me personally, I wouldn't be the woman I am today without being empowered by community development work, and without going to Maynooth University and having some of the great lectures that I had along the journey, and to understand it and to be politicised, if you want to use them words. And as I remember going back in first year, talking around empowerment and to empower others, and how do we empower people to empower themselves, you know. Racism in Ireland, unfortunately, sorry, this phone was just so busy, excuse me. Racism in Ireland, unfortunately, has become somewhat normal, you know, and it's very acceptable to be racist towards people of colour, for Muslim people, for the traveller community. And for me personally, as a traveller woman and as an activist, I believe, and so I know many people around this table believe as well, around collective action in challenging racism, in challenging discrimination and hatred. So it's about spaces like this to be able to work and changing policy and changing legislation to stop racism and discrimination in Ireland for all people. But racism is racism, and unfortunately it's acceptable, and I don't think any one community experience it. Like, you know, I'm not saying all travellers experience racism worse than black people, because, you know, racism hurts, and I think for people that have to go through it, it does hold you back, and it's a barrier, and it's a fear that you live with every single day, even if you're not attacked by horrible acts. It's the fear of it happening to you walking down the street, and many people that I know, you know, getting spitted at walking down the street, people of colour, people, women wearing hijabs. And I just think, you know, we have to be working while we did come a very long way, if you want, like around racism and discrimination, and getting platforms to being able to speak about it openly. There's still an awful lot that needs to be done, but it's around collective action that we're going to get that, we're going to see change.
Thank you so much, Eileen. I think you highlighted a range of really important points there. I think what kind of resonates a little bit is that kind of that people have to live with when they experience racism, but then the onus on all of us to work together collectively bringing people with us in terms of challenging the system that disempowers certain communities. So that was really, really interesting and a really useful conversation. Thank you very much.
And like, I think if you have any kind of a platform, like, you know, the platform that I have right now, which I'm absolutely privileged to have, and I'm very grateful to have. Again, I'd like to thank the three party leaders for putting me forward for this great, amazing opportunity. But it's around the heart of community development work for me, because I know it works, you know, and I've seen it at a local level, I've seen it at a national level, and I've also seen it at an individual level. And for me, like, I think no matter what comes up, no matter what bill comes up, no matter what's brought forward, if you analyse that with a human rights and equality lens, well, then you can't get it wrong. And I think around that heart of the conversation is talking up against racism and discrimination. And for me, as a traveller woman, I'm genuinely tired of fighting against all the time. So now it's around shifting the attitude in fighting against racism, it's fighting for now, it's fighting for human rights and equality for people in Ireland, and not just for any one community. It's around that collectiveness and bringing communities with you, and to be mindful that, you know, I'm not coming in here and saying I'm a voice for black people, because I'm not. As Anastasia Quigley have always said, and I say it myself very often, is nothing about us without us. And I genuinely think at all levels that we have to have people of colour, people from ethnic minority groups around and making big decisions.
Was it?
All right. Nuala, you wouldn't mind just muting your
I'm finished now anyway.
Yeah, no, but again, you've just really, certainly I'm sure I'm speaking for other people in saying how delighted, how even more delighted it is to know that now you're going to be in the Seanad in a position where you can raise the importance of together fighting for equality and human rights, and putting it on that kind of platform and saying that to people, that they have a responsibility as members of the Seanad to also fight for equality and human rights. It's not about people on the outside, but it's about people on the inside who have to take the responsibility as well. So it's brilliant to have you there. So thank you very, very much for your input.